This is the Dave Pamah Show, a global breakdown of how public systems actually work under pressure and why the same failures show up in different places around the world. I'm Dave Pamah, a retired firefighter, and this is where lived experience meets systems reality. Today, I want to talk about something that, on the surface, looks like it's about one news story, but in reality, it's about something much bigger. It's about what happens when public system becomes overwhelmed, when demand keeps rising, resources don't keep up, and the people caught in the middle are ordinary families. Recently, ITV News published an investigation based on allegations from an anonymous SEND caseworker working within an English local authority. The whistleblower alleged that senior managers encouraged practices that made it harder for families to access support. Those allegations included delaying communication, avoiding written records where possible, and making it more difficult for parents to navigate the system. These are serious allegations. The council involved has not been publicly identified. The allegations have not been proven in court. And it's important that we recognise that distinction. But regardless of whether these specific allegations are ultimately substantiated, the story struck a chord with thousands of families. Why? Because many people recognise the experience. Now, I'm not approaching this as a politician. I'm not approaching this as a journalist. I'm approaching it as a father, as someone who spent 24, almost 25 years working on the front line as a firefighter. One of the biggest lessons I learned during my career was this: systems really fail because one individual wakes up wanting to do a bad job. Most people join public service because they genuinely want to help. Teachers, firefighters, paramedics, police officers, social workers, SEND caseworkers. Most care deeply. So when systems start pouring or producing poor outcomes, the first question shouldn't always be, who's the villain? The better question is, what's happening inside the system? I've seen this pattern before, many times, in the fire service, during major incidents, when resources become stretched. People didn't suddenly stop caring. They became overwhelmed. Priorities changed. Decisions became defensive. Communication suffered. Everyone started firefighting instead of solving problems. When that becomes normal, the public experience deteriorates. Now fast forward. Instead of a fireground, imagine a local authority. Instead of fire appliances, you have caseworkers, educational psychologists, tribunals, health professionals, schools, parents. Everyone is under pressure. Demand keeps increasing. Budgets remain limited. And exceptions continue to rise. Eventually, the pressure starts changing behaviour. Not necessarily because people are bad, but because organisations adapt to survive. I've experienced part of this journey personally. And as many of you know, my daughter Angel has been going through the SEND assessment process. It's been emotional. It's been exhausting. And at times, it felt incredibly confusing. Not because every professional has been unhelpful, far from it. We've met some astounding people, professionals who genuinely wanted to help, who listened, who cared, who treated us with kindness. Those people deserve recognition. But we've also experienced delays, different advice from different professionals, long waiting periods, uncertainty, and lots of time spent trying to understand how the system actually works. That uncertainty takes its toll, not just on parents, but on children. When your child is struggling, time feels different. A week feels long. A month feels enormous. And a year can feel like a lifetime, because childhood doesn't pause when adults process paperwork. Children continue growing, learning, developing, or in some cases, failing further behind and falling further behind. This isn't unique to England. Look around the world. You'll see similar patterns. Healthcare, housing, mental health, veteran services, immigration, justice systems. The details change, the countries change, but the pattern remains remarkably familiar. Demand rises faster than capacity. Frontline staff carry increasing workloads. Managers become focused on targets. Processes become more important than people. And eventually, the public loses confidence. This isn't just about SEND. It's about understanding how pressure changes organisations. When organisations become overwhelmed, risk management often replaces problem solving. Documentation replaces conversations. Procedures replaces relationships. And families can feel as though they're fighting the system rather than being supported by it. One thing the ITV investigation highlighted, whether or not every allegation is ultimately proven, is the importance of transparency. Public confidence depends on openness. People need confidence that decisions are made fairly, that concerns are listened to, that there is accountability, because trust, once lost, is incredibly difficult to rebuild. As a firefighter, people trusted us, not because we never made mistakes, but because we were expected to learn from them. Every serious incident became an opportunity to improve. We reviewed what happened, asked difficult questions, shared lessons, because that's how organisations become stronger. Not by pretending problems don't exist, but by facing them honestly. The same principle applies across every public service. If there are cultural problems, address them. If there are staffing shortages, be honest about them. If funding isn't sufficient, say so openly. If legislation needs reform, have that conversation. But don't leave families feeling they're battling a system they don't understand. There's another lesson here. It's easy to reduce these conversations to politics. One side blames another. Another side blames funding. Someone else blames management. But children don't experience politics. Families experience outcomes. Parents don't wake up worrying about organisational charts. They don't worry about their child. Or should I say they worry about their child? Will they cope at school? Will they make friends? Will they receive support? Will someone actually listen? Those are the questions that matter. I've always believed something. Whether I was wearing a firefighter's uniform or sitting in meetings today, leadership starts with listening, not defending, not dismissing, listening. Because the people closest to the problem often understand it better than anyone else. That includes frontline staff, it includes parents, and yes, it includes whistleblowers. Their concerns deserve to be taken seriously, investigated fairly, tested against evidence, not automatically accepted, not automatically dismissed. That's how mature public systems improve. My hope is simple, that this story encouraged reflection, not fear, not blame, reflection, because every country faces these challenges. Different names, different laws, different governments, but remarkably similar pressures. And when we recognize these patterns, we stop and ask, why is this happening here? And start asking, what can we learn from it? That's where improvement begins. If you've been through the SEND system or any public service that's left you feeling unheard, know this, your experience matters. Your voice matters. Constructive conversation matters. Because real change really begins with headlines. It begins when enough people decide that systems should work for the people they were created to serve. Because whether it's here in the UK or anywhere else in the world, these systems don't fail in isolations. And once you understand the pattern, you start to see it everywhere. This is the Dave Pamah Show. Thank you for listening.